Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
It's great to be back. Tournament time, college basketball. Big win for the Penn State men's ice hockey team last night because I feel like that solidified them for the postseason. They go to the Big Ten semifinals. They'll take on Michigan Saturday at Yost. Won with relative ease over Minnesota last night. Played well on top of it.
Some guys back, I think, which helped too.
Oh, getting people. And having Charlie Serrato back in the lineup
doubt.
is a huge plus. Because they've suffered through a lot of injuries this season. Oh, I forgot that's an excuse. Injuries are an excuse. Did you know injuries are an excuse? Did you know that?
Never.
Jason? Right? If you have a social media account, it's an excuse. Yeah. But they've had a lot of injuries, and getting him back, huge. But played just really well at both ends last night. And they get to the Big Ten semifinals. They're just rock solid now for the NCAAs, and now it's a question of whether they can win a Big Ten title or maybe improve a seeding, improve a seed line. They've got Michigan coming up this weekend. Tonight in Pagula, it's actually UConn and Princeton in women's ice hockey.
A lot of UConn players at the game last night.
And the UConn and Princeton, the winner will play Penn State in Pagula Saturday at 2. And the winner of that one on Saturday will go to the Frozen Four, which is also at Pagula. Jeff Campersall will be on the Coach's Show tonight in the opening half hour. We'll talk to him about that. Also, Mike Gambino on baseball tonight. All right, now let's get to in the conference tournaments. Am I surprised that Northwestern beat Indiana? No, because I've been broadcasting conference tournaments since 1983. There's only a few years where I have not broadcast a conference tournament. 92, 93, 94, 95, 96. And, of course, then 2020, of course, we were there and then couldn't do it. And then, of course, last year. But all the other years I've done conference tournaments. So 44 seasons, I've done, 37 conference tournaments? Something like that. Ding, was it? Yeah, 29, 28. Yeah, actually is 37. 37 conference tournaments I've done. This is what you notice. It's not perfect, but many times I will see a team win the opening game. They feel great about themselves because there's a different feeling about winning and advancing in a conference tournament. They'll win the opening game, and guess what they have? Momentum.
Absolutely. Sure.
Which then you follow up in the next game, and the other team's playing for the first time. And yes, you're the higher seed. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're better rested, but the other team has momentum. And you saw this left and right yesterday in the SEC tournament. I mean, look what happened in the SEC tournament with people. I mean, Texas got beat, Ole Miss, right? I mean, momentum. It's not perfect. I mean, Maryland in the first half plays great. They're leading Iowa. And finally, Iowa in the second half finally pulled away and won the game. All right. But Northwestern goes in last night. They feel good about themselves. They played great up against Penn State. They had beaten Indiana the last time they played them. And to be honest with you, they were just flat out the better team. But this is the momentum principle.
Sure.
You're like, well, how come that doesn't carry all the way through? Because eventually you start to get tired. For example, Northwestern is going to play Purdue tonight. It's going to be their third game in 3 days. Now fatigue starts to set in. And that will end up being an issue. The last time they played Purdue, there were 8 lead changes in the last 5 minutes. Now, what game was at Welsh Ryan? Right? But it's 3 games in 3 days. Now it becomes your legs start to get a little. Never forget Penn State playing in D.C. Was it D.C.? I think where they were. No, it may have been Indianapolis. And they played 3 games in a row. And they'd won. They won again. And then they played Purdue, and 5 minutes to go, it's like a 1-point game, and then you could just see like jelly set into all their legs. You're like going, okay, we're trying to crawl to the finish against the team. All right. But the momentum. And we saw that, especially in the SEC tournament. We saw that with Northwestern last night. The team that wins, they may be down the rank, down the seed line, but they have momentum because they feel good about themselves. There's some confidence, and they also have the conference's leading scorer. Purdue hasn't played well down the stretch. They have not played well.
Home too.
They've lost at home. They lost 5 games
times
at home
yeah.
this year. 5. In that building, they lost 5 with Lawyer, Smith, Kaufman, Wren. Right? They bring in. Okay, if you had to pick one of the 10 guys that everybody wanted in the transfer portal last year, I'd say Oscar Clough would have been one of those 10.
Yeah.
And yet they have not had a Purdue standard season. So, yeah, when you look at these conference tournaments, that's one of the issues, the momentum principle, which I've talked about many times. Now, it doesn't land in the NCAAs usually. I mean, sometimes you've had some teams come out of Dayton, for example, VCU, North Carolina, and boom, there they go. You haven't had a 16 yet come out and do it. Come on, hey, we're out of Dayton. We keep winning. I mean, obviously a 16's beaten a 1, but they weren't playing in. Did that FDU played in Dayton? I think though, didn't they? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, they're the one team of 16 that came out and they won.
They won. Yep.
And this is, you see all the teams that lost yesterday, where yesterday was bubble insanity. It was bubble insanity yesterday. I mean, crazy as to how it played out. So here we go. Let's just quick look at other people. Auburn beat Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State is not good. So this is not what you refer to as a resume enhancer. But you avoided losing, which would be resume disaster. Okay. Now they have Tennessee. At the moment, Auburn would be probably the last team in the field. You beat Tennessee. I mean, they're only 2 games over 500. I mean, let's be honest. Texas. Okay. Chris Beard is now coaching Ole Miss. And Texas lost to Ole Miss. Okay. NC State beat Pitt by 10. Think they're okay. Indiana, we already talked about Indiana and Northwestern. Iowa did itself a solid yesterday by beating Maryland. How about Cal? Okay. They lose to Florida State. Done.
Yeah.
SMU, I'm watching this game with Louisville. They're in deep trouble. Andy Enfield's team's in deep trouble. They lost 62-58, even though Louisville's a good team.
Yeah. Yeah. 23-win team.
UCF and Cincinnati, they play each other. Excuse me, UCF played Cincinnati, right?
Yes.
They win in overtime. Good for them. They're locked. Cincinnati, gone. I mean, that's yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do have to look to see how all of this ends up playing out before you start saying somebody's done and gone. But they are, they're done. Indiana's in trouble. They are in trouble. And they spent a lot of money on that roster. They didn't say, okay, this is not the Filene's bargain basement roster here, okay? They spent a lot of money on it. Bobby Hurley out at Arizona State. Red Autry out at Syracuse. And we go from there. I want to get to Rick Pitino for a moment. And by the way, Lehigh won. They got an automatic. McNeese State won. They got an automatic. I want to get to Rick Pitino for a moment here. Rick Pitino, who is as brilliant a coach as you are going to find in the game. I mean, you could sit there and you could talk about all the off of the courts. Please, okay? I'm talking about the pure ability to coach. I don't know if there's anybody in today's game better in the ability to coach a game than Rick Pitino.
Yeah, absolutely. He's had success anywhere he goes. He's turned programs around. There's no question. Absolutely.
Okay, please.
Separate. Yes,
absolutely. Use your brain. Separate the two as to what
we're talking. We're talking on. We're talking on the basketball.
Settle down.
Yes.
Okay? Settle down.
Yes.
I'm talking about practice court. Yes. I'm talking about game. Rick Pitino.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But he also does a great idea of thinking outside the box. This is semi outside the box because his idea is a collective bargaining idea. He, in an interview, says that there should be a minimum spending requirement between $9 million and $11 million on NIL deals to level the playing field in the Big East. The Big East is probably, if everything goes according to Hoyle, will send 3 teams to the NCAA tournament. Unless there's something crazy that comes up. They should send 3. That is a low number. Because remember, in the Big East, if I've got this right, there's only one. Is there only one program in the Big East that has a Division I football, FBS football program? That's UConn. Is there anybody else?
Yeah, I think that's it now.
Right.
Yep.
They're the only one in the Big East that has an FBS football program. So they can, like Villanova can take their resources, they can put it toward basketball. St. John's can put their resources, and they do have a sugar daddy, by the way. I mean, the guy that's funding the UFL is doing a lot of funding for St. John's, right? Just like Double Eagle Energy with Texas Tech. He says that there should be a spending requirement of between $9 million and $11 million on NIL deals to level the playing field. Keep in mind there is one conference that has cited a floor for competition. That's the American. The American requires all of their schools to spend a minimum of $10 million internally on rev share. I mean, they do have that. I mean, they've got that in there right now. It's pretty straightforward as to what he wants to do. He'd set a baseline so every team has a shot at landing top players. He said, if I were the commissioner, which I'm not, I would say that every school has to agree to spend $9 to $11 million on your NIL.
It's right on. That's almost right on. Yeah, I'd agree.
Now, Jason Belzer, who is a Rutgers Law School professor and founder of the Student Athlete NIL, chimed in with some numbers. He said most schools were expected to spend $14 to $18 million on football, $2 to $4 million on men's basketball, and the rest on other sports. Well, that's sort of true. Remember the pre-June 30th, where it was the Wild West, before you had to go through the clearinghouse on NIL deals? Spending was all over the place. This goes back to Double Eagle Energy with what they've done with Texas Tech. And I'm interested to see how that plays out moving forward. Because post-July 1, there has to be, hi, I'm Jason Lord for, and pick car dealership of the day.
Right.
Whatever. We'll pick this. I am Jason Lord for the student bookstore. We'll pick our sponsor.
That's right.
Right. Sales just dipped. No, I'm just kidding.
SBS is, we've had a great relationship with SBS for many years.
Yes, we have. All right. He pointed out that if coaches like Shaheen Holloway at Seton Hall or Richard, his son at Xavier, had $10 million to work with, they could put together some serious squads. He says Georgetown and Providence probably had that, but if you give Butler and DePaul $10 million each, their coaches are good enough to really have outstanding players, Pitino said. And they said right now the Big East is shaping up to be a 3-bid league, which would be the three you would expect: UConn, St. John's, Villanova.
Yeah.
Seton Hall, on the other hand, lost to Villanova and is 0-4 now against the conference's top teams. So with 11 teams, if you get 3 or 4 in, that's pretty good. It's a tough conference, no doubt, but the gaps between the programs are getting harder to ignore, he said. He said not everyone is going to love the idea of a spending floor. He said some schools just don't have the budget, and coughing up that kind of money could really stretch, according to Pitino. He understands that. But when you've got Mike Rapoli, and that's who is the one that's the financial backbone of St. John's NIL program, and Mike is a billionaire, often has told me how he enjoys talking to you at cocktail parties.
That's right.
He said, that Jason Lord's quite the guy.
I'll tell you.
I said, Mike, I said, is that the Jason Lord I know? He goes, yeah. Really? Just kidding.
He says, if I give you this, will you shut up? I take it. It's only fair.
I mean, this is, to me, has to be part of, again, you've got to be,
right.
I mean, I know the president just had his entire deal last Friday at the White House with talking about college sports and so forth, but I'm sorry. You have to have somebody in the room that looks at everybody and says,
leadership.
Hey,
no doubt.
Somebody.
Yep.
We need to collectively bargain with the players.
No doubt.
Hey, you have to. You have to set, okay, here's how it works. Rev share, which next year will be 21-3. This is the top out number for football. This is the top out number for basketball. This is the floor for football. This is the floor. Now, not every conference can do that. Every conference needs to set its own max and its own floor. I don't expect the Big East, or excuse me, let's do one better. I don't expect the American or the Mountain West or Conference USA or even the revamped Pac-12 to be at $21.3 million. But I do expect them to have a floor of 10.
Yep. Absolutely.
Now, can they support that? I don't know. You may have to have a situation where Conference USA has a floor of 5. I understand that. But every conference would need to set under a collective bargaining agreement, especially in the Power 4. Here is, now they already have the top number rev share. There's got to be a floor as well. And then do you set an NIL parameter around it? Now, that probably would be challenged in court.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, but again, you've got to do something for it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the difference. For example, there are 18 Nebraska athletes that are right now suing because their deals were rejected because they were based on future endorsements, not current endorsements.
Yes. But the biggest thing, you talk about it being challenged in court, and I think it would be, absolutely. But here's what it's going to do. What happens in the world of sports when you throw a contract at an athlete and he rejects it? At some point, you come together, you come to an agreement or a disagreement, whatever it is, but more often than not, you come to an agreement. That's, I think, what would be the starting point if you do put it in court. It gets rejected in court. Okay, you come together, you compromise a little bit. Suddenly, we're talking. I think that's what is completely missing right now with the relationship with athletes when it comes to this. Whether they reject it or not, you're at least talking. You could come together and get a compromise at some point here.
Well, you wouldn't have to go to court over this because if you're collectively bargaining,
but even if you
you're already talking in the room
absolutely.
With them.
But that's the point. Even if you go to court or you don't go to court, that's the point. You're negotiating it at now. You got a starting point.
Look, college sports has to take the people who run it, and I'm talking about the NCAA level.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking about Greg Sankey or Tony Petitti or
right.
No. At the NCAA level, you have to take your head out of the sand as to what you are currently dealing with. Okay? This is not, hey, golly gee willikers, we offer scholarships, which are great. I mean, so many athletes leave college debt-free while the rest of the campus is not leaving debt-free. Right? I mean, that's a big plus, but that's not the reality of the world we live in. College athletes are getting money. They're being paid. So since they are, and you have all these models, because we're not talking about maxes and floors. Gee, that's the NFL. Maxes and floors. Gee, that's the NBA. I mean, why have the Raiders spent so much money this year in free agency? Because guess what they were flirting with? The floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the Raiders were very close to being fined because they financially, with their salaries, were flirting with the floor the way the Philadelphia 76ers were, 10 years ago? 10, 12 years ago, the Sixers
prior to the process.
Fell below the floor. They got fined. They fell below the floor. The Raiders were flirting with it. Now they're spending because they had so much room. The NFL has that model. The NBA has that model. The NHL has that model.
Yep.
Major League Baseball, of course, as we all know, famously does not.
Yep.
There is no floor in Major League Baseball. There's a luxury tax.
There's a share and a luxury tax.
Which you're allowed to obviously exceed. Right? And the Mets and the Dodgers have both done that. The Yankees do it. But you have 3 professional sports leagues that have maxes and floors.
Uh-huh.
And it's something you have to understand what you are dealing with right now.
Absolutely.
And the NCAA does not have a handle with what they're dealing. And you can't keep going to Washington with your hat in your hand. You need to solve your own problem.
You need to step in and
You need to solve your own problem.
Can you get help? Sure, but you need to solve the problem. Sure. There's no question.
All right. You need to solve it.
Yeah.
And I would like to see I would like to see in the Big Ten. Here's your spending floor for basketball.
Absolutely.
Here's your max for basketball. Right? If they want to go 9 to 11, that makes everybody sit there and go 9 to 11.
Yeah.
Right? He's talking about 9 to 11 in basketball. It's fine. Right? Now, they can do that because they're not close to the $21.3 million, but they don't have football to fund. See? Now, but I don't know if he's talking about rev share. I don't know if he's talking about total NIL deals. I'd like to know what his definition is here. Is his definition rev share or total NIL deals? Because right now, the average in the big, okay, if you're going to take the upper, let's say 10 schools, let's say 10 schools in the Big Ten, they're averaging $9 million in terms of the total between rev share and NIL. $9 million. That's the average. There are a few schools, including the conference champion, which are 8 figures. 10, including the cents column, which I know you.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, he'll say to me, "I signed a 4-figure deal, and it was, $52.95." I'm like going, it's 4 figures. He's going, yeah, 4 figures. I said, well, 2 of them are the cents column. I mean, like I just paid 4 figures for lunch. Really? God, you scare me. All right. But you're talking about 8 figures.
Sure.
That the very top are spending. And the top 10 in the Big Ten, let's go top 8 to 10. Let's just top 8 to 10. Average about $9 million between the combo of outside, inside. Right? I mean, that's. I think that this is where NIL comes in. You have to be able to tell everybody, this is athletes and whatever, max floor, and you have to release salaries. You have to release salaries. Right? You have to be sitting there going, okay, how much is Cameron Boozer getting? I don't need to know, by the way, just like we don't know how much Patrick Mahomes gets paid for State Farm.
Right.
We don't know how much Caitlin Clark
did.
I don't know if she still does State Farm or not.
How much she got,
how much she received for State Farm.
Yeah.
Right? We don't need to know that. That's private.
Absolutely
That's
not.
between you and whomever. Yeah. But in terms of the internal salaries, it should all be released.
That should be released. Certainly.
All of it should be released. We should know how much Cameron Boozer gets. We should know how much Diego Pavia got. We should know all of that.
Yeah,
because that's part of collective bargaining. I'm saying you can only do that if there's a collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, that's sure.
But there's so many elements where you have to understand is 2026 is not 2016. 2026 is not 1986. Everything has changed. Everything. The TV deals have changed. The salaries, NIL, portal, everything's changed. It's, in fact, let's take it even closer. 2026 isn't 2022.
No, not anymore. No way.
2026 is not 2022.
Not a chance.
Okay? The NCAA, we always talk about adapt or die. The NCAA, refuses
to adapt.
To fully. Yeah. Okay, they would make some.
No.
Okay, they refuse to fully adapt.
Yeah, not enough.
And
yep.
And I think you're going to have to do this. I mean, did I want collective bargaining 3 years ago? No, I didn't want
No, but you're going to need it at this point.
I've said many times, they really shouldn't be employees. And I've gone along that line.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Everything's out of control now.
Mm-hmm. But you knew it was going to get to that point, that it was going to be out of control because there wasn't enough stability. There wasn't anybody taking charge, as we've said 20 times now. There wasn't enough people taking charge, wasn't enough stability, and when you have that, no matter what you do, it doesn't matter if it involves anything that doesn't involve money. Money is the biggest thing. If you are spending money crazily, no matter what it is, you don't have stability, it's going to be a problem. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing it really sports-wide, but we're especially seeing it in college sports.
Right. It doesn't solve everything.
No, but it's a start.
Collective bargaining would not solve everything. but it would give structure.
Yes.
Okay.
Which there's none right now.
Okay. Here's the cap. Here's the floor.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Next up, here are the rules in the portal. Both sides agreeing to it.
Yes.
Here are the rules in the portal. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's when the portal can be open.
Yep.
When it closes.
Absolutely.
Right. This is what is allowed movement-wise. Right. Contracts. Okay. Are you allowed? How long can contracts be? Right.
Absolutely.
2, 3, 4 years. Can you 2-year deal, whatever. Your ability to break the contract.
I was going to say voided the upper release.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Suddenly you've already had a couple of guys pull that already.
Sure.
Where they signed 2-year deals.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan Sorsby, he ended up going with Texas Tech, right?
Yep.
Right, and of course we know Mensah ended up leaving Duke and going to Miami.
Yeah.
And so contract language is there too as to what you can and can't do, so on and so forth. And are you allowed to do deferred money? I mean, most of your salary here is deferred after the age of 80.
That's right.
Yeah. They're rolling the dice.
There.
Yeah, you're rolling the dice. You make it.
Oh yeah.
Right. But that's what you have to do all of this, and we see it come into play. It is not a. It is not the kind of people will look at now and they go, well, look at all the parity in the game and so forth. And it's like, to a point there is. I mean, I look at which of the top teams is a surprise to you right now?
Yeah, nobody.
Right? They've always spent money on their basketball programs, and they still do. I mean, football, yes, we just saw Indiana win a national title. I will admit, in my lifetime, that's a shock.
Oh yeah, did not see it coming.
Is a shock.
Absolutely didn't see it coming whatsoever.
But at the same time, you've got a lot of people, maybe a lot of the same names in there.
Sure.
That you would expect that would have a shot at it in the and I think that college sport needs structure. I mean, let's tell you what structure means with competition on the pro level. If you have a cap and a floor and you're able to obviously manage it correctly, you should have
competition
where, minus the New York Jets,
they have put forth the effort. I will give them that. They have put forth the effort. They just don't manage it well.
Right. Where the New England Patriots up,
yeah,
down.
Right.
Now they're back in the Super Bowl.
Up. Yep.
Right. Seattle Seahawks, a lot of great years, down, win the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions were down for a long time. Now they're actually considered one of the teams that you consider to be very good. Didn't make the playoffs this year, but
Seahawks, I think, are
good. The Buffalo Sabres, down for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Sabres now are right there to get to the playoffs, and I'm happy for Terry because that's been
absolutely.
He loves hockey so much, and the Sabres have been like, but down and out, right? And and so you do have a way of leveling the playing field with how you have money. Where now it does come down to roster, how you develop your roster.
Absolutely.
It comes down,
it forces you to make decisions.
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
there are a lot of things you have to do. I mean, for example, Pro Days next week here at Penn State. So there'll be some GMs here. So let's just take Eric DeCosta with the Baltimore Ravens. In full disclosure, just so everybody knows, his daughter Jane, when I was teaching, had taken my class, and yes, I did write letters of recommendation for places. So just, everybody knows, in full disclosure, that it's not like there isn't a link with the DeCosta family.
Sure.
So Eric DeCosta is with Baltimore. They had to make decisions on what to do with their roster. They traded Odafe Oweh to the Chargers at one point, and now he's with the Commanders after signing a big deal. Okay, they lose Jordan Stout, signs with the Giants. They lose Isaiah Likely, signs with the Giants. Right? They make the Crosby deal. Wow, impact, flunks the physical, boom. And now what do? He signs Trey Hendrickson. But they're all doing it within the parameters of a cap and a floor.
Yeah.
Right? So, so they're making their roster moves based on cap, floor, and fit. And college sports has to get to that. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, you can't. Yes, they have to take class. Yes, the vast majority of them will not be playing professional sports. Degrees are going to be incredibly important. But when you go walk into Beaver Stadium, when you walk into Michigan Stadium, and there's 108,000 in one place, and there's 111 in the other, and all those people paid money, you can't tell me that the people down in the field shouldn't be getting something.
Right.
Okay? The NCAA tournament, the men's basketball tournament, is $1 billion. Not for the total contract.
No.
The $1 billion is for this year.
This year, yeah.
Okay? You're telling me that the people playing should be doing it for the glory of Old State? No.
No, absolutely
That's
not.
not the way it goes.
No.
Okay? Okay?
No.
If somebody's paying $1 billion in TV rights, plus they're selling tickets and everything else that goes with it, the participants on the floor should be getting something from it.
Yeah.
Besides just a scholarship.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think
again, the scholarship is incredibly valuable.
Sure it is.
I mean, I can give you a long list of guys I just watched in person over the last week that are, that may play over, like Martinelli. Okay.
Yeah.
Martinelli's going to be an interesting player. I think he's going to end up playing overseas, and he's going to make a lot of money overseas. Yeah. Could he make the NBA? He could.
Could. Yeah.
Right, he could, but I see more of a European player, and that's how he's going to make his money. But he's not going to make. He's not going to get Luka Doncic money.
No.
Right? He's not going to get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander money. He's not going to get that.
No.
He'll make coin, but he's not going to make, what those guys are getting. And he's a really good player. Right? Now the rest of the roster. Jake West, down the road, will make probably a few stops in several European countries. Okay? Trey Singleton will probably make a few stops in European countries. Right? And, okay. And it's not going to be a long career.
Right.
Right? But they'll play in Italy, they'll play in Lithuania, they'll play in France, they'll play in Belgium. I mean, they'll be all over the place. Right? But that's how they'll do it for the love of the game. I was talking to a father the other night of a Maryland basketball player, and he played 9 years in Europe. Kept his career going for 9 years. But after a while, it's like, okay. Right? Did he made money? Yeah. Did he make anywhere near what the NBA makes? No.
Of course not.
Of course not. But that's why they need their degree.
Yes.
You need your degree. Pete Lisicki has his degree. He played 10 years in Europe. Okay, Joe Crispin has his degree. He played 10 years in Europe. Glenn Secunda has his degree. Yep. He played, I think, almost 15 years in Europe. All right? Hey, Tommy Hovass, got his degree. He played in Japan. Now he's the head coach of Japan's men's Olympic team, but he has his degree. Okay? There's a bunch of the long list of football players that desperately need their degree. I always tell everybody, usually 2 weeks into spring training, or excuse me, spring
practice,
2 weeks into training camp in August. Okay, there are a lot of freshmen that have that moment. I think I'm going to need my degree.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because I'm going to the scout team. I've had,
no doubt.
Life has been so good to this point.
Absolutely.
And in 2 weeks in, you're like going, I'm going to the scout team. Doesn't mean you can't get off the scout team and be a factor. I just talked about Martinelli. Martinelli was mostly a scout team player his first 2 years at Northwestern. Now he's the leading scorer in the league. That is so they should be making money.
Yes.
And again, have I changed on? Of course I've changed on all this, but you have to adapt.
You have to adapt. I was going to say, you have to adapt.
Now you see the way it is. Okay, you have to treat this.
Coaches have to adapt.
Right? I mean, that's why
or they can't coach.
Now, the Pitino idea of 9 to 11 in the Big East, the area that's a little different than other conferences. I don't know if he's talking about rev share or if he's talking about the total package of rev share and NIL. I don't know. That's the one part that's very unclear there.
Yeah. If it's the latter, I think then you're probably going to be fought. You will be faced with backlash at that point. But if it's a rev share, I think there's a better chance. But yeah, either way, there's at some point, you need stability. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think I go back to when this idea was first floated around. Everything that you just mentioned, I thought was going to be part of it, where if you were going to have a major TV deal, these players were going to see part of it. You were going to have major things, these players were going to see part of it. They've not at all yet. And that's got to be part. At some point.
I never thought they were going to do it. Because I didn't think that there was, I always hate the expression, but it's the only way to describe it. When you have an organization that has consistently kicked the can down the road, in other words, kept delaying the big decisions,
and hoping somebody else would take the lead,
and thought they could hold them off. Mark Emmert's leadership
it was awful.
Was so poor.
Awful.
It is stunning how poor it was. When you were sitting there going, and just like, we'll just hold it off, hold it. If that's your plan to hold it off for as long as you can, you are no leader whatsoever. No. I mean, you have to take action on something, and they never did. And all the chaos you have now is because you lacked leadership when you could have taken care of this 15 years ago. When the O'Bannon thing came up.
Yeah, that was a big part of it.
When the O'Bannon thing came up, right, two things happened. One, I remember on the EA Sports game, I said on the show, I said, this is the NCAA, right, extending their power, not thinking that they don't have to do it. They just do whatever
they can do whatever they want. Yeah, okay? Absolutely.
Because the players weren't on the cut. I said, then of course they get to the trial. Yeah. And Ed O'Bannon, he had been on the cover of it years ago, and he never got anything for being on it. Now, what about the people? Now, look, the people in the game get a nominal amount plus the game. Yeah, I mean,
now they do. At that time,
right? And the settlement,
the settlement, they get a couple bucks.
They got $500, $600 a piece, right? Now you'd have to ask the players. I think getting the game part's the most valuable part.
Absolutely,
they love the fact that hey, I got the game for free,
and they're in the game. That's the cool part of it.
They're in the game, and I got the game for free. Yeah. Okay, but when they went to the trial, he gets up there, and he does the ivory tower speech on the witness stand, right? Scholarships, degrees, making sure it's a better future life for all of them. And everybody in the room is like, What? Okay. Meanwhile, right, O'Bannon's attorney, I don't even think asked a question. No, you're good. You've done enough for us.
Literally.
You've done enough. Instead of getting up there, okay, now I'm not saying they wouldn't have won. I'm not saying they would have won.
Yeah.
We do things like this because we feel it's important that not just be football and basketball universities. We need to be universities that, how many of you in this room are for women's sports? Okay. Anybody against women's sports? No.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Now, okay. But we also want to make sure that we fund men's soccer and baseball
Absolutely.
and men's gymnastics and so forth. Okay.
Sure.
This is our way of putting deals like this together that put money into the coffers of athletic departments because those programs cannot self-sustain.
Right.
This is the ability to explain where the money goes. And he would not do it. And he handed the O'Bannon people on a silver platter. When his testimony was over with, I remember the day he testified, it was in the summertime.
Uh-huh.
I said, well, that's over. I said, he just handed it to him on a silver platter. Because he gave him the ivory tower speech, and everybody in the room went,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. I'll never forget, this is a football version of it. EA Sports would run commercials. It's in the game.
Right.
And it was Carlos Hyde, and it was Braxton Miller. That's who it was.
Yeah.
They're showing it's in the game.
They showed the player, and it was the likeness.
The graphics that these people do, they're so good at it. There's no mystery that looks exactly like Carlos Hyde, and that looks exactly like Braxton Miller, but they won't identify the names of the players.
Yeah.
But Miller, at the time when he was a quarterback, he wore 5. He switched to 1, but he wore 5. And Hyde wore 34.
Yeah, 34, 28 in the pros. Yep.
Okay. And you're like, and you're looking at it going, there's no mystery as to who it is. They should be getting money. They're selling the game based on your image.
They look just like him. Yeah. If they didn't look like him, I guarantee you, you would have heard about it.
Right. And you're like, yeah, exactly. You're like, that doesn't look like Braxton Miller. It'd be fans complaining.
Yeah, sure.
That doesn't look like Drew Aller.
Absolutely.
That doesn't look like Rocco Becht. Right? They'd be complaining. And he walked in and he does the ivory tower speech. And everybody in the room went, right? I'm telling you, O'Bannon's attorneys are sitting like going, keep talking.
Yeah.
No. We have no questions. Keep talking.
Absolutely knew it.
Right?
Sure.
Right? Because they don't explain where the money goes.
No.
And, in other words, we all know that everybody gets an NCAA basketball tournament cut. We all know that. Everybody knows it. And and believe me, every athletic department benefits from it. So we all know that. But explain to them that that's how you end up not just funding football and basketball. That's how you end up funding every woman's sport. That's how you end up funding men's soccer, baseball, wrestling, and things like that. Right? Because if we just did it as a capitalistic model, all those sports would not exist. If you just did, again, if you just did a capitalistic model, those sports would not exist.
True.
On the college level. Because if you're losing money, you can't do it. That's the capitalistic model. All right? And, of course, he doesn't do that. And it's that kind of leadership and just push it down the road, hold them off, push it down the road, hold them off. Okay? And now you get to this point. You have a mess because when they had a chance, say, you know what, we're going to do bold leadership. Let's put together a plan. Let's start correcting this. They could have done this 15 years ago. They did not. And now they don't know what to do.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just concerned about your deferred money after the age of 80.
I'll tell you. I don't. And there's no. It's kind of like throwing a dart at the board too. You have no idea where the money's going.
With you? No.
Just
no. With you? No. Man, it's not as if your sunroof blew off the car.
Not mine.
That wasn't yours.
No. Good Lord. Makes me look at mine a few times now. I can tell you that.
Wow. We actually had a guy in the station, not going to say whose sunroof blew off the car.
Man, I've never seen it. I've never seen that happen. Thank goodness he's okay, and thank goodness the car's fixable.
Yeah. Yeah. This segment being brought to you by insurance. No, I'm just kidding. It's being brought to you by our good friends at the Student Bookstore. There's their spokesperson.
I'll tell you what. It's been. We've had a relationship with SBS for so long. I can't thank them enough for all they've done for us.
Think of all the deferred money you have.
That's right.
In fact, I just checked your contract. The deferred money kicks in after 90.
90? Oh, that's not fair. They didn't word that one right. They threw one by me on that one.
So you know your signature's there. You agreed to it.
That's why I got to get Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe in to do everything
for
me.
I'll tell you right now, by the time they're done,
they don't lose.
Management is in the fetal position. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow.